Good morning and welcome to Mike Ferry TV. Here we are now in September 2014. And about a month ago, I wrote a report for all of our coaching clients, which I not only emailed, but I also physically mailed to them. And the report was titled, How Do I Ensure My Fourth Quarter Success? You know, it's interesting. The real estate business, as you know, unfortunately is a very reality-based business. But unfortunately, at the same time, there's a lot of emotion involved. And one of the things that I've discovered about the real estate business in the length of time I've been doing this is that a lot of agents, if they've had a really strong year, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, if they've had a strong year, it's not uncommon that they just naturally start to drift or kind of pull back and kind of relax and get out of the momentum that caused them to have a good year. We see this happen all the time. So one of the things we do with our coaching clients is we really press hard for them to work hard September, October, November, December because of two things. One is you're ensuring your fourth quarter, you're ensuring a great Christmas holiday, you're ensuring great closings in January and February, which, as you know, is usually when most agents suffer the most. So we really work hard to keep our clients that are doing well, doing well. But at the same time, there's always a certain percentage of the clients that have not done well January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. So the fourth quarter becomes critical. And what I tell them all the time is you can't let up. Just because you've not done as well as you want to start, you can't let up in the fourth quarter. Or as Marcia Bain, one of our clients down in Texas, said one time, selling real estate is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. You have to go forever. So I wrote a couple of thoughts here. And the first thing I wrote down, and I want you to give some consideration to as you listen to our message today, is this. In a real business, the business operates 11 and a half months a year. Everybody gets a couple weeks off, and you get a few days off of Thanksgiving and a few days off of Christmas. But in real business, everybody operates 12 months a year. In real estate, for some reason, the average agent works 7 and a half, 8 months a year. I don't know why, you don't know why, but it's very standard. And I say to real estate people, why are you working 7 or 8 months a year? Well, I'm there all the time. I'm talking about working. And it's very common that most people in real estate don't understand this concept. Many years ago, I did a little 3-hour seminar called 7 versus 12. Working 12 months versus 7, meaning that you're physically, mentally, emotionally involved in the business the entire time. And in most cases, agents don't work the months of October, November, December, and they certainly don't give it the chance they should. So here's what I asked of all of our coaching clients in late August, early September. I said there's 4 things that I want them to do, 4 things I want you to do. I said, number 1, determine the number of days you're actually going to work between today and December 31st. How many days exactly are you going to work? Look at the calendar month by month. Actually cross off the days you're going to work, count them up. There's a holiday in November. There's a holiday in December. How many days are you going to work? What days are you going to put in? Then the second thing, I asked them all to commit to writing down how many listing appointments are you going to go on between today and December 31st? And how many listings are you planning on taking? Third thing I asked them to do is how many of your listings will sell and how many of your buyer controlled sales will you have between now and December 31st? I'm formulating for you, as I did for them, a very simple, very direct, short 3-month business plan. And then I wrote fourth and asked them to commit, how many closings will you have between now and December 31st? And it's interesting because the majority of our great coaching clients, and we have thousands of them, committed to certain numbers. And then I asked them all to think about this. If they actually complete the year strong, and they take a week off at Christmas, and they take a week off at Thanksgiving, and they've had a couple weeks off maybe over the summer with their family, they've now worked 11 good months instead of working 7 or 8. And then they have that momentum going for them as they start the new year. So in this report that I did, I gave them 20 very specific thoughts and actions to take to ensure their fourth quarter. It's interesting. We've had this up online. We've been offering it to people that attend our superstar retreats. And boy, people are gobbling this report up as fast as they can get their hands on it. Because there's 20 very specific things that you and I can do to ensure our fourth quarter. What I want to do today is go through the first 10. Then next week, I'll go through the next 10. So hopefully, before we get too far into October, you're going to have a good October, November, December plan that's going to make that fourth quarter your best ever. Because that's the goal. How do you make it your best ever? So listen carefully to the first 10 points in my report. Here's number one. As the year closes, and you close strongly, you can't allow yourself to be in a position of operating out of desperation, or in essence, you can't allow yourself to need a deal badly versus going out and earning one, which is the job you have. You know, as the market gets a little screwy and gets a little slowed down and gets a little funny, people get desperate. And if you haven't had a good year and you're looking at a potential listing and the property's worth $295 and the seller says, I want $350, and your only other listing right now is in waiting to close and you haven't got anything else pending, and you feel a little desperate and you say, well, okay, $350, and then they say, but we want it at 4.5%, and you go, darn it, and all of a sudden you take it at 4.5%. See, you've lost the edge before you've started. During October, November, December, don't allow yourself to need a deal. Even if you're desperate, don't allow yourself. Go out with confidence, go out there and do your job the way you should, and get that deal at the price and terms you should. I wrote down number two. Look carefully at how other sales businesses operate and how they're built, and then strongly consider doing what they do to get where they are. Sales businesses are built upon a plan, upon work ethic, upon energy spent, and most importantly, on time invested. Even though most realistic people say they are full-time agents, they behave in a part-time manner. In a real business, and you know this, I mean, watch, you're going to go shopping in the holidays, the stores are all open, businesses operate. We operate right straight through. Why don't you? And only real estate seems to think they can take off and out-operate like a real business. So point number two, look at some of the people that you know well that operate in other businesses, sales or not, and then formulate your plan and your work ethic and your energy and your time invested the way the businesses do, and believe me, it's going to be a great fourth quarter. Now, let's go to point number three. In looking back at number two, we have to understand that to run a strong sales business, you have to provide the highest quality service possible to the client, and you can't waver based on the service you're offering because of the time of the year. The seller doesn't care if you have one listing, 5 listings, or 20. You, in every case, have to look and say, my most important job is the quality of service I offer. Are you offering the quality of service? Now, we all know that during the holidays, emotions come into play a lot. And a lot of times we don't pay attention. Pay attention better than ever to the service you're offering, because every listing sells eventually. We just want it to sell during the time you have it listed. Number 4, we all know that the ability to change our behavior is critical in building a business, or in some cases, just maintaining a business. That being the case, we have to be the initiators of change and not the type of salesperson that reacts to changes taking place. The initiator of change. What changes do you have to make to really make sure you have a great fourth quarter? What changes do you have to make in your time management, your planning, your skills? What changes do you have to make, in the prospecting and the scripts you use? What changes do you have to make in your attitude, approach, and expectations? Because as you make those changes, now they stay with you for a prolonged period of time. You make the changes now in how you behave, and guess what happens? In January, February, March, when you're having the best first quarter of your life, you can look back and say, I made some minor changes and they paid off big. Number 5 on our list. As the fourth quarter continues, we have to remember that in listing property, there are technically only 2 major issues we have to deal with. And they, of course, are price and motivation. We can't allow ourselves to want a listing so badly because of a lack of business that we have at the time to start pricing properties that aren't going to sell quickly. The seller has a right to know their property will sell. But you have a right to know that you're doing your job right by pricing it right. If the seller doesn't have motivation, why are you sitting in the house? If they're not going to price it right, why are you staying in the house? Number 6. We know that the market slows down to a certain degree in most parts of North America during the fourth quarter. It's never as much as we think it's going to be, but there is a slowdown. With that being said, We have to accept the fact that being 100% honest with the seller regarding all aspects of the market, the facts and the figures during the presentation and the state of the market are critical. Or in essence, tell the seller the truth. Tell the seller the truth in spite of the consequences. Yes, you and I know the seller doesn't want to hear the truth regarding what they have to do price-wise. But see, you don't want to hear the truth about what you have to do to succeed. And of course, in this case, I am the one telling you the truth about what you have to do, and you have to deliver that same message to the seller. When there's a little bit of a slowdown, and it's advertised heavily, because when there's a slowdown, the world picks up on it, and there's going to be all over the internet and all over the newscasts, real estate is slowing down. You got to walk in and say, hey, listen, there is a 5 to 7 decrease in transactions, and it makes properties a little harder to sell. Should we be a little more competitive in our price to make sure that we are priced to cause it to sell? Number 7 on my list, during the fourth quarter, critical point now, the number of agents who are working every day decreases at a faster pace than the number of transactions decrease. Isn't that a great thought? Okay, if the number of transactions drops from here to here, the number of agents participating drops from here to here. Most agents quit in the fourth quarter. This, of course, means your chances for success are actually increasing as the market is shrinking. Therefore, increasing your own personal efficiency during the fourth quarter becomes critical to building your business. A certain amount of time will be spent in the office. I'm going to suggest strongly that when in the office, you do not answer your phone. Do not answer your cell phone under any circumstance. Assuming you have a staff, let them answer the phones. If you don't have staff, answer the phones, check your messages every 45 minutes. Increase your efficiency when other agents are dropping out left and right. Number 8 on our list. If you've been to any of our seminars over the last couple of years, you've heard me say time and time again, in fact, I'm sure you're tired of it, become more efficient in your listing skills, what you say on a listing, your listing presentation. Actually try using the scripts. Or in essence, what we're telling people, you have to upgrade. Upgrade your energy, upgrade your attitude, upgrade your approach, upgrade what you say, upgrade the smile on your face, upgrade your grooming, upgrade the materials you send out. Because the competition, although there's not as many as you think, are better than they ever were. We have to upgrade to impress the seller. Number 9, because there's a normal slowdown in the marketplace, in the fourth quarter, we have to become a lot more efficient in keeping the seller up to date as to the market and the conditions of the market, or as things slow down, communication has to increase. But Mike, I don't have anything to tell them. Call them and tell them, I have nothing to tell you. They want to hear from you. Now, let me ask you a question. As a property sits in the market and the market gets a little bit slower, do the sellers get a little bit nervous? The answer is yes. And how do we nullify them being nervous? How do we nullify them being a little skeptical? Communication, talking to them all the time. And number 10 on today's message, during the entire fourth quarter, increase the amount of time you're spending prospecting by 25% minimum. For example, if you are prospecting 2 hours a day, start prospecting 2.5. If you're making 25 contacts a day, make 30. Do a little more. Or if you're not prospecting at all, bless you if you're not, start. Because one thing we know, again, listen carefully, your competition mentally, physically, and emotionally is working less than ever. So as they work less and you work more, look at the spread between the opportunities you have versus your competition. Let's make the fourth quarter the best 3 months of your life. There's no reason why we can't do it. I talked to an agent a couple days ago, and the gal actually said to me, Mike, do you realize I could earn another $1 million in commissions in the fourth quarter? I got to tell you, that's exciting. For some of us, let's get a transaction. Let's get a listing. Let's get a sale. If you're doing 25 deals, let's add 5 or 7 or 8 in the fourth quarter. You can do this. If you're doing 50, let's add 10, 12, 14 in the fourth quarter. If you're doing 100, do 25 more. Increase the exposure you have to buyers and sellers, and you increase your income. I'm excited about next week because we're going to go through points 11 through 20. Now remember, the coaching clients have had this material for probably 5 to 6 weeks. they've got a head start. And you know a lot of our coaching clients, and some of you are our coaching clients. Keep your head down, keep working, keep grinding. It's a marathon. See you next week.